Now the whole first page of the test is going to ask you just to select the correct unit of measurement. It's going to give you different objects and ask you what unit of measurement you would use. So remember, the basic units of measurement are, we have length, then we have volume, we have weight, and then we also have temperature. And in the metric system, we already learned that length, the basic unit of length, is the meter. The basic unit of volume is the liter, or liquid. The basic unit of weight is the gram. And then for temperature, the basic unit is Celsius. Temperature is going to pretty much stay on its own. Temperature in metrics is going to be measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit, but it's my understanding that Celsius is metric. Now when we're looking at length, we'll look at length first, with the basic unit being the meter. If we are given a certain object to measure, for example, let's say that you had to measure, the height of a table. So a table height. So if you were asked on the test to measure a table height, you would probably measure the table height in centimeters would be the best answer. Now you could say decimeters here, but remember what I said, that decimeters, which is your thumb and your pointer finger, your index finger spread apart, is one unit of measurement that you don't see very often. And remember, the width of your thumb nail is probably a good example of a centimeter, and then this is a millimeter. So if you were asked to measure a table height, you would probably use centimeters, or possibly decimeters might be an appropriate answer. If you were asked to measure the height of your roof on your house, measuring the height of your roof on your house, you would probably do that in meters. So you'd probably do that in meters. And then the smaller unit, which is the millimeter, that would be for measuring, for example, the width of a coin. So the width or the thickness of a coin, we would use millimeter. And remember, the prefix milli means thousandth of a meter. And then last, if you were asked to measure the distance between 2 points on a trip you were taking. So if you were flying from here to California, from Michigan to California, we would use kilo, which is 1,000 meter. So we would break that into sets of 1,000 meters, a kilometer. So those are the 4 examples of length and 4 examples of items that you might be asked to give the proper unit of measurement with. Going on to volume and liter. For volume, there's really only 2 that I'm familiar with using for volume. One would be the milliliter. So milliliter. And a milliliter is going to be used to measure very small amounts of a liquid. For example, liquids that might be found in an eyedropper, or maybe a bottle cap full of water. Might be measured in millimeters. So that bottle cap of water. And then liters. Liters are going to be measured in, so that's a half of a 2-liter bottle of pop. A liter I would use to measure, for example, how much gas in a gas tank. Or maybe I would use liter to figure out how many liters in a bathtub. So that amount of water might be a good example of where you would use liters as a measurement. And then the last one is your kiloliter. So 1,000 liters. And then you're talking about measuring the amount of water, for example, in a pool or a lake or an ocean. We would use kiloliters, 1,000 sets of 1,000 liters. So those are the 3 volumes that you'll probably come across on the test. There is centiliters that you'll use in science sometimes, but I'm not sure that I don't think that those are on the test. And then last is weight in grams. And just a couple things. If you were, for example, weighing gold, gold would be weighed in grams. If you were measuring, for example, some sort of dust or powder for science, maybe you're doing a science experiment and you need a certain amount of a chemical or something like that, you would probably use milligrams, which are small. So there's that prefix milli. And then if you were measuring something quite large, like for example the weight of a car, you would measure that in kilograms. So again, you have that kilo, which is 1,000 grams. So as you do this, just make sure that you're looking at, the prefix, and make sure you're using the right basic unit as well.